Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for coming to our online event today. So we're just going to start, but before we get started, we have a few administrative slides that we want to finish. So we would humbly like to thank our program funder, IRCC, for supporting our event. Without them, we would not be able to have events such as this. And I would also like to remind everyone who's in the audience, if you're in Zoom, please mute your microphone and turn off your camera. No abusive language will be tolerated at any point during this event. Please do not post any personal information in the chat box on Zoom or on Facebook, as that information is not secure. Please save any questions you'll have for the end of the workshop. And then at the end of the workshop, we'll open up things for a Q&A. We are going to be a little different today. Margaret, our guest speaker, has said she's open to people turning on their cameras, turning on the microphone, and having a conversation with us. So, if you're in the Zoom meeting, go ahead, feel free to turn on your camera, raise your hand, and we'll call on you to speak, and then we'll go ahead and just talk and share our experiences of being immigrants in Canada. At the end of this workshop, there will be an evaluation link. So I will send that link to you guys. Please do provide us with your feedback. Without your feedback, we never really improve the quality of our workshops, and it's so important to us. So I thank you so much for coming, everyone. And I just would like to firstly of all humbly welcome everyone in our audience for coming and joining us today.
We would also like to welcome our Facebook audience at this point. And just a reminder for everybody, so when we open up the floor for questions, we will turn off the Facebook Live before that so that you can turn on your cameras and you will not be live streamed at that time. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, I also would like to let you know that this event is part of the Breaking Barriers series, which strives to help newcomers overcome the obstacles that prevent us from being able to thrive in Canada. Today, we will be learning about how to take care of ourselves during turbulent times. And for many, this last year has been very challenging. We need to learn how to adapt to the new world that we're living in. And these challenges have been complicated or compounded by the immigrant experience in coming to Canada. Coming to Canada and transitioning to the Canadian workplace culture can be very difficult. Normally, people struggle with mental health during the job search, and sadly, this becomes one of the biggest barriers which prevents newcomers from being able to reach their full and complete potential. I want to empower as many newcomers as possible with this event. So our guest speaker today will be talking about how to manage your mental health during these times and during unemployment, and she'll be speaking towards her own experiences. And because she's being so very brave and sharing about her own experience, I'm going to ask that you give her your undivided attention as she tells us about herself and her story. So please do give your attention to Margaret. Margaret, are you able to take the floor?
Yes, thank you very much for having me today.
Sorry, Caroline, can you put it in slide mode?
Yes, we can put this in the slide mode.
Yeah, because it will look...
You need to go to view. Go to view at the top of your screen.
View, oh, okay.
And then you say, presenter view.
Oh, there, see it. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm happy to be here. As an immigrant myself, I completely understand the obstacles and challenges that comes with being in a new country, looking for a job, and having the ability to keep that job as well. So today we're going to focus on what mental health is and what stress is. We're also going to take some time to talk about when and how to recognize when we're really stressed. And I will provide a few tools that we can use. As it was explained to you earlier, I love an open conversation. This is a safe environment and an opportunity for you to share maybe one or two experiences that you have and also tap into maybe someone else's response to answers. With that said, I will introduce myself to you. My name is Margaret Adekunle. I came to Canada in 2000 from Lagos, Nigeria. I've been working in the banking industry now for 20 years. And I've had the opportunity to be a branch manager at RBC, CIBC, Savers Credit Union, Scotiabank, and ATB Financial recently. I recently left ATB Financial to found my own company. I founded a company called City Lending Center. City Lending Center provide credit building solutions. And the focus, of course, is on new immigrants and Black Canadians. I also founded Immigrants Inclusive Credit, which is a free credit counseling organization for immigrants. And a few of you might be wondering why I focus a lot on immigrants. The reason why I focus a lot on immigrants is because I am an immigrant and I understand what those barriers are. I understand the challenges that you would face and that the ones that I faced when I came in. When I came to Canada in 2000, I didn't have a lot of help. I didn't get the opportunity that we're getting, that you might be getting right now at Immigrant Services Calgary. And those are one of the reasons why I personally focus a lot of what I do on new immigrants. That said, you can see me, you can connect with me on LinkedIn at any time, search Margaret Adekunle. You can follow me there. I have a lot of content there. You can also follow any of these organizations that I talked about. Immigrants Inclusive Credit is there as well. Like I said, is for free credit counseling. So we jump right into the presentation for today. I will tell you a little bit about my own personal experience with mental health. I once worked at a particular bank where I had a leader who bullied me all the time mentally. You know, if you've ever experienced or been in a situation where someone is not actually physically abusing you, but when someone constantly tells you you're not good enough. For example, maybe you go into a coaching session, and each time, even before you go into the coaching session, you have migraine, you're stressed out. That's the kind of bullying that I was talking about. And after a while, I started feeling that I wasn't good enough. And at this point, I'd been a branch manager for over 10 years already. And with the constant, you're not good enough, this is not right, that is not right, nothing positive. Those kind of things begin to affect one's mental health. And that was what happened to me. And I began to question every single thing that I was doing. It got to a point that I completely broke down and I had to take some time off work. Thankfully, I had a very, very supportive family who stood with me and encouraged me through that period. And I also had to get a few help myself. I got professional help. I went for some counseling. That's what mental health challenges could do to you. So it's very, very important sometimes that we find a way to take ourselves out of certain situations. But I can understand when you're new to the country and you just got a job, and now you have a leader who might be bullying you or telling you you're not good enough, but you need the income from that job and you might not want to leave. So we're going to also take some time to talk about the things that you can do in order to scale through until you get another job. So mental health. We all have mental health. And so you might be wondering, I don't have mental health because I'm from Nigeria. And anytime you talk about anything mental health or mental illness, we make this gesture. That means, God forbid, it can never be me. It's not going to be me because there is a stigma attached to mental health. But mental health comes in different shape or form. Your mental health is your ability to think, the way you think, the way you see things, the way how productive you are. So we all do have it because we think. However, when it becomes an illness or when you find yourself in a situation where you're not as productive as you used to be, then that might be when you want to take a step back to figure out what the struggles might be. So mental health is when you get to a point where it becomes an illness, when it gets to a point that you can't do the things you normally do. But on a daily basis, the fact that you think, you wake up, you go to work, that's your habits, is internal. There are things that you automatically think about and you do. And that's the main meaning of mental health. is your ability to be productive, your ability to do things that that makes you happy. And when you get to a stage where you're not able to do those things anymore that makes you happy, that is when it becomes a problem. Now, I'll give you a quick example of an experience that I once had with a client while working in the bank. His name, I changed his name, but let's say his name is James for the sake of this presentation. James is a client that we love in the branch. He comes every day, either to withdraw $2 or $5. So one day I called him and I said, James, because that day he was a little sober. I said, James, why are you doing this to yourself? Because it's obvious, he has challenges with substance abuse, which is what led to his mental health situation. James' response to me was, Margaret, and that's the same question I'm going to ask you all to hold on to today. He said, Margaret, when you lose your keys or you lose your phone, how do you react? You know, most of the time when you're about to dash out the door, maybe you're running late for work, maybe you have a meeting or you just need to get out of the house and you can't find your car keys. Then of course you get a little bit disorientated. You're not yourself anymore. What do you do at that point? And when you find the key, how relieved are you? That was the way he described the challenges that he has with substance abuse, which led to his mental health situation. So someone who is on drug is not thinking the way we're thinking. The moment they don't have it, they want it. Every bit of them want it. Similar to when you lose your keys or you can't find your phone, you're like, okay, you're looking for it everywhere. It's the same thing with when someone has a clinical depression, or maybe you have, or you find yourself in a situation where you're no longer happy with what you're currently doing. My example with James is really to help you understand when you're walking down the street and you see somebody with a mental health issue, how compassionate are we going to be towards that person? So the question James asked me about how I feel when I lose my keys really got me thinking about how to get help when I'm challenged. So let's hold on to that for a minute. We can always come back to it when we have our question time. Now let's talk about stress. What does stress feel like? I know at one point or the other in your life, could be maybe when you're applying to come to Canada, but at one point you feel stressed. I feel stressed most of the time because of the nature of my job. But if you think about the definition of stress, it is something that we all feel. It is the reaction to circumstances that you find yourself in, and we all react differently. Sometimes the way we react to situations could be cultural. As an immigrant and someone from Nigeria, the way that I react or to a certain situation might be different from somebody who is coming from Europe. So when we look about stress, it happens to us in different ways, but the way we deal with them is what will determine if it will affect our mental health or not. And as an immigrant, when you come to a new country, there is always a lot of stress. You're already stressed because you're leaving everything behind and you came to a new country. Now you're trying to settle down. And if you have kids, if you have family, then it's another level of stress because now you're worried about getting a job quickly so you can feed your family. The reason why we're here is to discuss how to overcome those obstacles. And I will really encourage each one of you to ask questions or share your experiences with us today. What kind of experience do you have when you're looking for a job? How stressed are you? What is causing those stress? And how can you deal with it? The whole idea is to find ways to deal with it. Every single one of us have certain level of stress on a daily basis. But of course, like I said, the way we deal with it will determine our path forward. And stress, of course, is not a bad thing. There's good stress and there is bad stress, but it only becomes a problem if we don't find a way to deal with it. Now let's talk about what stress look like when, when it's becoming a problem, especially when it's becoming a problem. When stress is becoming a problem, you will find that you're doing the same thing over and over again. For example, if you're looking for a job, and you're applying and applying and applying and applying and you're not getting any response, but you continue to apply, and at a point, you might begin to get stressed, frustrated, and maybe depressed because you're not getting the kind of response that you need. At what point do you take a step back to seek help? At what point do you ask yourself that question? What am I doing wrong? So when you think about stress, when you get to a point where you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you're not getting the result that you want, that might not be a good stress. That's the kind of stress that might lead into depression and frustration, which will not bring out the best in you. So please take note. If you're new to the country and you're trying to job hunt, or maybe you've been going for a lot of interviews, if you've gone for a few interviews and you're not getting the right response, it might be the best time to take a step back and ask questions. Look around you and find people or maybe groups, or go to LinkedIn and search up maybe a mentor or someone that you can talk to about what you need to do. Or maybe it could be your resume. It could be the way the resume is written. But the goal here is to make sure that the kind of stress that you have does not lead you into frustration or depression, or lead to mental health challenges. Now let's talk about immigration and stress. I know that I mentioned one or two things about, being an immigrant. If I remember when I came to the country newly, this was in 2000. I didn't know anybody. I was only 23 years old. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have a job. And, I was a student as well. The level of stress that I had at that time is different from the level of stress that I have now. So for most newcomers to the country, there's already a level of stress and anxiety that comes with being new in a country. And like I said earlier, the best thing that we need to do is to seek help. And I know for us, for most immigrants, we don't like bothering people. Sometimes it could be the language barrier. Sometimes it could be because you don't want to be seen as someone who needs help. There's always a form of stigma attached to seeking help. I want to encourage you. I wish I knew what I know now when I came into the country 21 years ago. I was in a lot of stress and I didn't know how to seek help. When you're new to the country, there is a lot of opportunities. I know that there's a lot of people out there, especially on LinkedIn, that are looking to mentor, that are looking to help in so many ways. So there is absolutely no reason for us to keep to ourselves or just internalize all that stress. When stress is internalized, it could lead to mental health challenges, which will put you back 1 or 2 months, or put you back even a few years. So as a new immigrant, it's very, very important that we speak out, we seek help, which is the biggest challenge that I find with a lot of immigrants that I come across. Even for myself, it was hard for me to ask for help. It was hard for me to speak to people about what I'm feeling or what I'm going through. So please reach out. If you're new to the country, or you're just looking to come in, or you know somebody who wants to come in, the biggest piece is to reach out, speak to somebody before the situation or the stress that you have eats you up inside. So I'm going to quickly go through a few things on this slide. Stress and mental illness are culturally situated. What that means to me might mean something completely different to you, is that when you're new into a country, the way that you deal with stress will be different. Like I said earlier, you might want to talk to somebody, you might not want to talk to somebody, but the encouragement that I will give you is that you talk to somebody. Something that I know about Canadians is that they're very, very open. They're extremely open to helping. They're extremely open to mentorship. They're very, very open to helping new immigrants in so many ways. So I will encourage you to reach out. And if there's a language barrier, which is one of the major issues for a few immigrants that I've spoken to, I know that Immigrant Services Calgary have a lot of people that speaks different languages. If not, you also have that option of going to LinkedIn and just reaching out. But I'm almost sure that Immigrant Services would have a lot of opportunities or programs that could help you with language barriers. Our mental health system is a little bit challenging in Canada. Challenging in the sense that when you want to talk to a counselor, for example, you might not find a counselor that speaks your language. However, if you reach out and speak to enough people, you might be able to find someone from your community or somebody who knows somebody who might be able to interpret. But the most important piece here is that you reach out. You're new, you're stressed, you're looking for work, you've tried so many times, it's not just working the way you want. It leads to a lot of stress, a lot of frustrations, and the encouragement today is that you reach out, speak up. There is somebody out there that is willing, open to help you and to have discussions with you. Also, apart from being new to the country, we're also at a time where there is COVID-19. With COVID-19, we're all indoors, you can't go out. Well, it's better now because a lot of us can go out there, we can see loved ones if we're wearing masks, but things are still not the same. So if you're currently looking for a job, it might be challenging for mentors to want to meet you face to face. But there are lots of mentors out there that are willing to have virtual meetings. There are lots of mentors that might be willing to mentor you through text messages. There are lots of mentors as well that will be willing to mentor you through emails if you're not comfortable due to COVID-19. But the major thing here is that you don't keep everything in. If you need help, seek it. Especially with the stress of COVID-19, your job hunting, and you're new to the country. It's very, very important that you speak to someone. Now, what does stress look like? How do you know if you're getting really stressed or you're getting to a stage where the pressure might kick in? When you enjoy doing something a lot and you get to a stage where you no longer enjoy it. If you're somebody who likes maybe hanging out with friends and now you're just not interested in hanging out with friends, that might be a good time to reach out. If you find that little things irritate you, if you find that you're getting angry very quickly when people say or do certain things in front of you, that might also be a sign of stress. Not necessarily mental illness, but might be a sign of extreme stress or not the kind of healthy stress that you should have. If you find yourself in a situation that you're withdrawing yourself away from people, it might also be a good time to reach out, talk to somebody. If you're beginning to have negative thoughts, it might be a good time to talk to somebody. If you find out that, things that you can easily deal with, you can no longer deal with them, it might be a good time to reach out. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because as someone who's been a leader for a bit, it's very tough. Reaching out is tough. If I have challenges at work sometimes, and I don't want my boss to know, who do I talk to? If you're currently looking for work and you don't want your wife to know, you don't want your spouse to know, whichever way, who do you talk to? What do you do at that point? A good example that I normally share with people is my husband, for example. My husband is a project manager and also a realtor. Of course, a lot of immigrants, especially our immigrant men, they like looking very tough. When they have situations, they never share. And one day I was very, very shocked when my husband said to me, the only reason why I've lived for the past 2 weeks is because I see you. It was a big shock. It was a very, very big shock because I never thought I never thought for once that he could ever have negative thoughts due to stress from work, maybe stress from so many things. But I was glad that he was able to have that conversation with me. So please, if you find at any point that you're noticing some of these things in yourself, talk to somebody. You might think it will never happen to you, but I tell you, it happens to the best of us. I've experienced it. When I was in a situation when I had the leader that was bullying me mentally, I had a lot of thoughts. Sometimes you will feel worthless. Sometimes you ask yourself questions, why am I even living? Sometimes you would think there is no point. Why did I even move my things? Why did I come to this Canada? You will give up at a point when you've tried so hard. But I want to encourage you. You're here now. And Canada is a land of opportunities. Most of us that are now successful went through the same things that you went through. So please take notes when you're hunting for a job and you're getting to a stage where the frustration wants to get in, please talk to somebody. I can assure you that there's somebody somewhere that knows somebody who can help you 110%. What can you do if you notice that you find yourself in a situation where you're repeating the same things, you're getting frustrated, you've been looking for work for 6 months and nothing is happening? What do you do? Like I said, and I can't say it enough, talk to somebody. The biggest part is talk to somebody. If you're not comfortable meeting with someone face-to-face due to the pandemic, you can do virtual coffee. We're all doing it. We're having this meeting virtually. Just talk to somebody anyhow you could. Self-care is another piece. I know for myself, when I feel a little bit down, I like getting my nails done. It makes me feel good. We all have that one thing that makes us feel good. And I want to encourage you. The moment you feel that you're having negative thoughts, or you're feeling a little bit depressed, or you're feeling frustrated, take a walk. Think about things that you do that makes you happy. I don't know if shopping would be a part of that, emotional shopping. I know that a lot of us women, especially, that is probably the time we go shopping. I won't encourage it, but I will encourage you to do a lot of self-care. I will also encourage you to write letters. A lot of historians talk about letters. You can write a letter to yourself about how you feel. You can write a letter to a friend. You can email a friend. Just express yourself. You will find that the moment you express yourself to someone, you will feel better. Another thing that I find that also worked very well for me was goal setting. I put pen to paper. You write it out. I'm looking for work. I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried this, and it's not working. What should I do next? You set short-term goals, long-term goals, and then you begin to work on what you need to do in order to achieve it. And I will strongly, strongly encourage you, seek a mentor. Look for somebody who is within or in that field, or someone that is aligned to some of the goals that you set. For me right now, my goal is to learn how to dance right now, right? And I've sought the help of one of my friends that will encourage me and go with me to dancing classes. It's still a goal. It's going to keep me healthy. It's going to keep my mental health in a good state. So I strongly want to encourage you to set a goal. Another piece that is very, very important are those positive talks. I cannot say that one enough. I have an employee in the bank she has sticky notes all over her computer. I'm beautiful, I'm this, I'm that. And one day I asked her, I said, why do you have these things? The challenge with her is that person is clinically depressed. And having all those stickers on her computer reminds her, because normally in the bank, you can't have that because we have customers coming in. So you're not allowed to have stickers, but I made that exception for her because it keeps her sane. Mentally, she's happy when she sees those things. So it's very, very important that you tell yourself, people say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I believe it. If I tell myself how beautiful I am, you might look at me and you might feel differently. But if I constantly remind myself of how beautiful, how successful I am, I will feel good inside. And I want to encourage you, do the best that you can to say positive things to yourself. Our health, our mind can play a lot of tricks when frustration or mental health or stress kicks in a wrong way. So I encourage you to do a lot of positive talks to yourselves. Other supports that you can seek, peer-to-peer conversation, that's still similar to talking to somebody. Find somebody, could be a neighbor, could be a friend of a friend that you met at one point. Have somebody somewhere that you can call or have a chat with. A lot of support, a lot of things that also work is community involvement. Find somewhere you can volunteer, something that you can do that will take your mind off the triggers of frustration, the triggers of stress. You know what those triggers are. Nobody knows those triggers as much as you do. So it's important that you find a way to find people or groups that you can join. Another thing that a lot of us immigrants shy away from are primary health care providers. A lot of us do not want to go talk to a counselor because we don't want that on our record. I want to encourage you. I've done it. I've done it a number of times. There are times that I will call my doctor for things that don't make sense, and I will give you a quick example as well as to, when we talk about stigma. I remember the first time my 18-year-old was so sad. This is a very vibrant, brilliant boy. He was just extremely sad, and I didn't get it. One day he said, "Mom, I want to go see a counselor." Of course, as a Nigerian woman, I'm thinking, are you kidding me? You want them to think you're crazy? Those were the first thoughts that came to mind. But I tell you, I was very, very happy. I'm glad that I took the step to take him to see a counselor, because the challenge he was having was because he's going to university. He's suddenly an adult and is worried about bills. He's suddenly worried about paying bills. Those were the stress he was facing. He's worried about getting a job and being responsible for himself, and talking through it with someone other than his mother or dad helped him a great deal. So I will strongly encourage you to please, if you get to a stage before it escalates, seek help. Even your family doctor, you can call your family doctor, have the conversation, and they will refer you if needed. Private counseling also works. And that's the end of my slides. That's the end of my presentation. What I would like us to do now is spend some time to have a dialogue. I've talked about a lot of things. I've shared personal experiences. I want you to come off your mic, ask a question or two, or feel free to share your experience with us.
Okay. Thank you so much for your sharing, Margaret. I think I learned some things that I can definitely think about implementing, and I think we all need some self-care. So that is our homework assignment tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. The Facebook audience will now be disabled. So Facebook Live will now be disabled. So thank you for joining us, Facebook audience. And I hope you will join us again next time. And then